Hey, I'm Alex Radcliffe from Board Game Co., and this is the month in review for August 2024. We're going to go through a bunch of things, from my board game stats to my best games, my favorite videos from other creators, my favorite videos of myself, crowdfunding highlights, all that and more, and we'll have links and timestamps to everything down below. We'll start off as usual with my board game stats, as we usually do as we go through this, and August was a pretty good month, almost the best month of the year as far as most games played. I have 162 logged plays for August. I think February was my top month with 165. So I came just shy of beating that. As usual, I probably did because I probably played more. I usually log 90% of my plays. The problem is that's probably true for February as well, so we'll never really know which one was actually higher. I think August. August at Gen Con, and Gen Con was crazy, so I think August actually had more missed plays, but ultimately I'm going to go by the stats rather than just trying to cheat it for the sake of cheating it. We're just going to go with the stats. So anyways, 162 plays, 162 logged plays. From those, we have 72 unique games. 42 of those 75 unique games are new to me in the month of August, and we have an H index of 5. As usual, H index is the number of times you've played a number of games X times. So if you played 5 different games 5 times each, that's at least an H index of 5. Speaking of which, as far as the games that I've played more than 5 times in August, we have Captain Obvious with 5 plays. We have Far Away with 5 plays. That's one I'm pretty sure got more than 5 plays. I just don't log them all. We have Cockroach Poker at 5 plays. We have a Gentle Rain with 6 plays. Aeon's End Legacy with 6 plays. Elder Scrolls Betrayal of the Second Era with 6 plays. Trio with 8 plays, and Codenames with 8 plays. So again, some of the usual suspects are in there. Games like Codenames, Cockroach Poker, Trio, all of those generally get a lot of plays. But then we have things like Elder Scrolls getting a bunch of plays, and Aeon's End Legacy diving into the first game for the second time with a bunch of plays. I'll have a full review on that one soon. I just need to finish it, which I'm currently down. Since doing this, I've played one more time, and I need to finish it with one more play, at which point I will be able to talk about it. Anyways, that's as far as the stats of the month. As far as my favorite videos this month, favorite videos specifically from other creators, links to these videos down below, and generally rank these from least favorite to most favorite, but these are all great videos. We have Bad Person, Good Game from Tom Vassell, The Dice Tower, doing a video on the nature of how to handle when you want to like a game, or you like a game, but there's some issue with the company, the designer, or maybe you like, I don't know, what was the Broken Token, was it? Broken Token had that whole drama where they're an insert company, and then they had a whole scandal and drama going around, and so how do you handle situations like that? And just going into the complexities, some of the things that are a bit more obvious when that happens, some of the things that are a bit more person by person, how do you handle that? Including some of the complexities of the fact that sometimes boycotting a game because of a person does have unintended side consequences of who else gets hurt by those decisions. And there aren't really hard answers, which generally I think is the way it should be. I think life doesn't always have hard answers. Life is often full of us all trying to figure out what makes the most sense for ourselves and who it impacts, and just trying to do as much good as possible and as little harm as possible. I thought it was a good overall video, just covering the nuances of the subject, giving you room to think about it yourself as opposed to really telling you what to do. Coming in number 4, we have The Real Ones with D&D, with Deborah Ann Wolf and John Bernthal. It's a very short 8-minute video. It's been going around. You've probably seen it, but if you haven't, I highly recommend checking it out. It's a great little 8-minute video that kind of walks through Deborah Ann Wool, I think, not Wolf, Wool, showing John Bernthal how to play D&D just from nothing, from scratch. And it's really well done. The way she hooks you in and engages you, really incredibly well done. If you haven't seen her before, she's obviously from Daredevil. She's in a bunch of shows, and she's also been on much more famously, obviously, she's been on Game Night with BGG several times. Number 3, we have 4 months into Pokemon from Thinker Themer. They just do a charming little video talking about their journey down the rabbit hole of Pokemon. It's fun to watch, both from a stance of watching somebody else get hooked on a TCG, even just watching the dynamic as a couple, or just seeing what it's like to get into Pokemon, which I guess for many of us it's going to be a TCG. If you didn't already get into it, for many of us it'll be one that isn't necessarily as top of mind compared to something like Magic the Gathering, or more recently like Star Wars Unlimited or Lorcana, so it's interesting to watch that video. Coming in number 2, we have A Bad Game versus a Game You Don't Like from Tim Chun. This is a great video talking about the distinction between calling something a bad game versus a game that you have a personal opinion on. And he talks about the nuances and the differences there. There are things that are objectively bad, although the tricky part is it's still subjective whether something is objectively bad. An example might be a bad rulebook, meaning a game that has a rulebook that is hard to comprehend, hard to read, that is more likely to fall in the category of a complaint and a critique against the game, as opposed to your personal opinion of the mechanics and how well they meshed. At the same time, there is the nuance of the fact that whether a game is a bad rulebook, whether a game has a bad rulebook, still might be a subjective opinion. But he's trying to get that nuance aspect of when is something bad versus when is it not for you, and so that you, both as a regular person playing the game and talking about it to your friends, and also especially and more so if you're a content creator on the internet having opinions, there is a very, very big difference between a game you don't like and a game that is bad. And especially if you're one of those honest reviewers out there who like to criticize other people for liking things, especially so then, you need to understand the difference between a game you don't like, that you're the exception, versus a game that is actually bad. And then coming at number 1, a video on mental health from Foster the Meeple. There's a video talking about Jeff talking about just his own journey with mental health. It's a great video. I would say, I don't know if inspiring is the right word, but resonates. It's a video that resonates. There is a degree of inspiring to it, but it's just a video that resonates about the challenges that we all go through in different ways, because we all have challenges. Whoever you are, there's a challenge. Whether it's a actual mental health issue, whether it's something else, we all have things that we struggle with on a day-to-day basis, and the ability to be vulnerable, especially to an audience, it's a lot. I highly recommend checking out the video. It is a good video to watch. As far as the best new games of the month, as usual, these are games that I played in August, and these are my 5 best new to me games in August. Coming in number 5, we have Panda Spin. Only a single player under my belt, so I do need more time for it to set and settle with me, and I can't because I played it at Gen Con. I don't have a copy, but when I eventually do get a copy, I hope to play it more. But Panda Spin was a delightful a trick-taking game, but it's more of a shedding game. Trick-taking and shedding often get bundled into the same grouping, but they are different as far as the mechanics. Panda Spin is a shedding game that had a unique element where the cards spin if you lose a trick, giving you a lot to work towards. A good degree of planning. Really enjoyed it. Coming in number 4, we have Clans of Midgard. Surprise hit for me. I was not expecting a lot from this game. I don't know if it's just the design, maybe the look of it. I don't know what it was, but it really gave me a very satisfying drafting game that has you considering a lot of things. I overall enjoyed it a lot more than I thought I would. Clans of Midgard. Coming in number 3, we have Rebel Princess. Rebel Princess is delightful. I expected to like Rebel Princess, and it was still better than that because of the variety of the game. With 26 little mini games of how to play through this actual trick-taking game, Rebel Princess is variable, it's strategic, it's basically hearts with powers and abilities, both in the rounds themselves as well as the fact that you have actual princesses each game with powers and abilities to utilize towards your advantage. I really enjoyed Rebel Princess and highly recommend it. Coming at number 2, we have Cyberpunk 2077, the board game from Go On Board. Loved my plays of this game. Really enjoyed it. It's to me, I think it's the second real-time game that is likely to last in my collection along with Project Elite. And I say that primarily because it feels like Project Elite as far as the gameplay experience that I got out of it, giving you that freneticness of real-time combined with card play that was overall rewarding and tense decisions that you're trying to make under the pressure. I overall enjoyed it quite a bit and I'm looking forward to playing through it more. And then coming at number 1, we have Spectacular from Chili Fox. Also, if you're wondering why Elder Scrolls Betrayal Second Era isn't in here, it's because it wasn't a new to me game this month. But Spectacular coming in at my number 1 pick this month, a 5/5 game to me. Really enjoyed it. Gave me a delightful little blend of drafting dice and tiles towards your advantage as you build out your own little private zoo. Then from there we have my disappointments of the month, and we actually have 5 disappointments. In general, the disappointments category is the main category that I don't try to get 5 games into. If there are 5, there are 5. If there aren't 5, there aren't 5. It is what it is, although we'll talk about that more with crowdfunding highlights this month. But in any case, with disappointments, we do have 5 disappointments this month, starting off number 5, which is Chuhan. This is number 5 because I wasn't really expecting a lot from it, and some of these you haven't seen reviews on yet, but you will. But Chuhan is a game that I wasn't expecting a lot from it, but designed by Tom Lehman, and I don't know if it's put up by Matago or associated with Matago, but I expected to like it as soon as I did hear about it. A 2-player trick-taking game. I like trick-taking games. I like Tom Lehman. I expected to like the game. I didn't like the game. I can understand why somebody would like it, but for me, Chuhan was, weirdly enough, powers and abilities might be one of the things I like less about the game. Just the way it incorporates it. I love powers and abilities, but the way it incorporated it, I did not feel was an elegant experience. Unfortunately for me, Chuhan was a complete miss, and it wasn't even on my radar until I saw it, but at that point I was excited for it, and it did not work for me. Coming in number 4, we have Flowers, a Mandala game. This was one that I was actually hoping to like because of the fact that the original Mandala game I really enjoyed, and this one I did not. I thought it was kind of like just mediocre. It wasn't bad. It wasn't a bad game. It was just a forgettable game in most sense of the word. Coming at number 3, we have Parks Roll and Hike. I actually enjoyed this game. The only problem is I think it was an okay game experience, an enjoyable game experience in a world where there are better games. There are better cascading combo games than Parks Roll and Hike. Parks Roll and Hike felt a little bit derivative within the genre. It almost felt like it was just trying to make a cascading roll and write combo game work, and it did, but it did so at the price of soul, I guess. It didn't feel like everything naturally meshed. It felt like someone said, hey, let's make the math on this game work. Every time you do something, you get something back. Well, you can't do that to infinity, so every time you give in 2 units of whatever, you get back 1 unit of whatever, and that will just result in chaining bonuses. Ta-da, it works. That's what it felt like. It felt like a mathed out game as opposed to a real game, and that might be just my own 2 cents in perception, but it's a game that I was really hoping to like, and the end result was a game that I do enjoy. I want to be clear, I do enjoy Parks Roll and Hike, but it felt derivative within the genre that it's in. It didn't feel inspiring. It felt okay. Coming in number 2, we have Thunder Road Vendetta. This one I was primarily looking forward to because of all the hype and buzz and everyone loving this game, and I was expecting to enjoy it a lot, and as it was, I thought it was okay. I do enjoy it. There will be a review coming on the channel. I think Thunder Road Vendetta is a fine game, an enjoyable experience, but it was not a very good game. It's a game that to me is way too subject to the randomness of it all. It feels like it's about the experience, not the actual winning or losing. When I win, I don't feel rewarded. When I lose, I don't feel like I played poorly. I feel it's a game about randomness and a game that tells a story, but ultimately it's a game that I enjoy while I'm playing, and then every time when I'm done, I'm like, I wish I had played something else instead, putting it in a weird place for me in terms of how that feels. And coming at number 1, we have Plantanubo. Plantanubo is a game, it's my number 1 disappointment only because I had such high hopes for it. I love Uwe Rosenberg, I love Polyomino games, I love Devere. I thought the combination of all those things would be a delightful, another feast for Odin in my collection, and it's not. It's Plantanubo. It's okay. It felt too tight in terms of what the game is trying to do. Elements of the game just felt a little too fiddly. Overall, it was a game that I can see people liking, but it's a game that's definitely not for me. Oh, that sounds wrong. It's not definitely not for me. I enjoyed Plantanubo. I gave it a 3.5 out of 5. I think it's a fun game. The mental energy to get to that point versus the game experience you get out of it, there are so many better games at that point. And it's not even bad, it's just that it's in a very competitive genre of which there are either lighter games or more rewarding games. This one felt neither. It didn't feel like it specialized in either. It was not more accessible and it was not more rewarding. As far as my favorite videos of the month from my channel, these are the videos of the month on my channel that I'm more proud of or whatnot. Coming at number 5, we have a Dominion app review. This is just because I don't really typically review app games, and it was nice to try to do this and see how it felt, and maybe it's something I'll do more often because, I mean, there are a lot of app-based games that are excellent out there, and if I enjoy them and I'm playing them, why not talk about them? Coming at number 4, we have a Primal playthrough. This is just because I like Primal and I like playing games that I like. A lot of the playthroughs on the channel are sometimes, learning game for the first time for like a sponsored coverage, and then playing it after having only played half a game in order to get a sense or feel. It's nice to be able to play a game that I actually know and love on the channel, as opposed to something that is, again, don't get me wrong, playthroughs are generally enjoyable, but there's a difference between learning something to play on the channel and playing something that you already know and love. Coming up from there, we have a Gen Con Hall 2023 look back. This is looking back at 2023's Gen Con Hall and seeing how many games lasted. This is directly inspired by the Brothers Murph. Check out their channel as well. And yeah, I like being able to look back and see how well 2023's Hall did as far as which games stuck around and stood the test of time and all of that. Coming at number 2, we have top 10 cutthroat games. I like list videos. I like going through the list of games that I find particularly cutthroat and mean, and games that give you a complete edge over your opponent. I think number 1, if I recall correctly, was Paris La Septième Lumière. I love that game. It's a polyomino game of just messing with your opponent in this 2-player game that is basically patchwork if patchwork were about how to lose friends in your games. And coming at number 1, we have Why Value Matters to Me. This is a video I actually did on the channel way back when I first got into content creation. I did a video talking about why do I talk about value when I cover crowdfunding, and it's been 4 or 5 years at this point, so I figured it's time to redo the video because it is something I get questions on a regular basis. So this is me just being able to reference why does value matter to me. It's not about selling games. It's not about turning it into a job. It is about trying to maintain your ability to continuously experience and enjoy the hobby while doing so on a budget. That's basically the videos of the month for me, which means, speaking of crowdfunding, we have our crowdfunding highlights. And for this month, we have none. There were no particular campaigns that I was particularly inspired by in any way, shape, or form. I'd have to even double check if I backed anything at all, but August for me just didn't have crowdfunding campaigns that resonated. It doesn't mean there are bad crowdfunding campaigns, no crowdfunding campaigns. This category to me are just crowdfunding campaigns that I was excited about, either because I really liked the game or just the campaign was really exciting, something about them. I don't even have to back it for it to be in this category, but in this particular case, there just was nothing that particularly captured my attention, so I have no crowdfunding highlights for the month of August. Which moves to the last category, which is the generic highlights, the best experiences of the month. Just usually these are older games that I've played that are not new to me, but they're still excellent games. Coming in number 5, we have Harmonies. I'm still really enjoying Harmonies. I think it's fantastic. I played it for the first time, I want to say, July maybe, but still loving Harmonies, think it's great, and definitely recommend checking it out. Coming in number 4, we have Confusing Lands, a small box game from the Tiny Box series, whatever it is. I can't remember the name of the oh my gosh, Confusing Lands from Envy Board Games. I think Confusing Lands is phenomenally well done. I've continuously been playing this one. It is a light, simple, small box game of just variable scoring opportunities, and one that is really enjoyable, similar to Harmonies, just in a smaller box. Coming in number 3, we have Hanamakoji. I got to play Hanamakoji a bunch of times, including with the new tile sets, which I've never done before. And I like Hanamakoji a lot, and the opportunity to play it is always great. The opportunity to play with the new tile sets was nice to be able to have the variety of the experience, although I think the basic tiles still hold up the best. I haven't played with all the tile sets. I played with like 3 new tile sets, but ultimately still really enjoy Hanamakoji, and it's always a delightful time when I can dive into it. Coming in number 2, we have Elder Scrolls Tale of Second Era, a great game that I'm happy to have the opportunity to dive into again and to spend hours and hours and hours with this month. It is an excellent experience. I highly recommend checking out the game, although I do recommend checking my video, because I think there are a lot of things that get in the way of the experience, but I think it is a really good game. And then coming at number 1, we have Primal. Oh my gosh, there's always a follow-up thing to it. There's Primal something. But either way, Primal is a great game. I highly recommend checking it. What is Primal? Primal is, what is it called? I'm blanking on the full name for Primal, because I think there is a full name. Either way, Primal. My number 1 game for the month, my number 1 experience for the month is definitely Primal. I think Primal's an amazing experience. I highly recommend it. It's a 5 out of 5 game to me. It's been a 5 out of 5 game when I played it 3-4 years ago, and it's a 5 out of 5 game for me today. It is just a great time of a game. It has you fighting monsters in a Marvel Champion style gameplay. You can check out a review on the channel. You can check out gameplays on the channel. I have more gameplays over on Patreon or Ko-Fi. It is just a really good tactical combat experience that I think it's worth trying. I think it's worth trying and seeing if it's for you. That's going to be Primal, and I recommend Primal with a full name that I can't recall, and I recommend checking it out. And that is your month in review. Until next time, I'm Alex Radcliffe from Word Game Co. This has been your month in review for the month of August 2024, and as always, I hope you have a good one.